Hi and Assalamualaikum. My name is Anis Najwa, designer Din. So, today, my fellow members and I will present about safety precaution for soldering. Did you know the fact that there are many accidents will happen during soldering? So, in order to avoid all those accidents to occur, let's learn with us about safety precaution for soldering. So, let's move to the content first. So, we're going to present about all the precaution before soldering, during soldering, and after soldering. We also have procedure, the cleaning procedure, and also how to deal with burn and injuries. So let's start the first one before soldering.
Hello and Assalamualaikum. My name is Nora Shibeti Saiful Bahari. I'm from 1BEY1 Structure. So in this video, I will present about safety and precaution before you start soldering. So first of all, before you start soldering, you have to use or you have to wear eye protection when soldering, as solder can speed. So goggles play an important role in protecting your eyes from the direct rays from the soldering gun. The iron has some of the sharpest rays, and when they come into contact with our eyes, they will damage it, and with time, blindness might occur. Next, avoid yourself from wearing a loose-fitting clothes and please cover your hand. Do not wear clothes that are too loose and like to fall when doing soldering works. You are advised to wear non-flammable clothing that won't catch fire in case of mishap. Please wear a protective clothing such as long sleeve shirt and pants that are made from natural fibers like cotton and closed-toe shoes. At work, please, it is advised that you have to wear heavy clothes and please make sure that they fit you tightly. This is to prevent you from coming into contact with any products from the soldering iron. These fumes are so dangerous, especially when they come into contact with the skin. Next, before you start soldering, please make sure that there is no other things or substance that is highly flammable on your workbench. Besides, do not solder a live circuit, especially when the circuit was electrically charged. Please disconnect the circuit board from the power source before you start soldering. And last but not least, please plug the soldering iron into a grounded socket to reduce the risk of electric shocks and short circuit. I think that's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So thank you for Aisha to explain to us what we need to do before the soldering. So I will explain to you what we need to do during the soldering process. So number one, we must be careful with the soldering tip and don't touch the tip, because the tip will be very hot, as much as 400 degrees Celsius, which is be able to melt the lead and cause a serious injury to our hand. So step number two, we must keep return the soldering iron to its stand. This is to ensure that the soldering iron does not cause damage to the surface of our workplace and to prevent us from holding the tip of soldering iron. So number three, always use clamps to hold the solder metal or components. This is to facilitate the soldering process. The component that we claim did not move, and this will speed up the soldering process. Next is keep the cleaning sponge wet when we do the soldering. So when the sponge is wet, we can try the heat level of the tip without placing it close to our hands, which could be dangerous because the tip is so hot and then after we touch the tip, it will cause a dangerous or serious injury. So number 5, don't catch the soldering iron in case it accidentally fall when soldering. So we must let the soldering iron to fall, because safety is our priority, rather than we save the soldering iron that will be damaged if the soldering iron is fall. So next, the other tips is solder in ventilated area. So fumes must be avoided when do soldering, because fume come in two ways: from flash, paste or liquid, and from the lead that we use. So fume have a poisonous substance that are not good for our health. Okay. So number 4, use the ventilation system to avoid the fumes, or solder in area that contains fresh air circulating in and out of the work area. So the fume will not hover in the air or be inhaled by human in our workplace. Number 5, it will cause you to get any health effects such as reproductive problem, digestive problems, memory and concentration problems. So we must remember that our health is our priority, uh, and we must take the process to avoid the fumes from the soldering process. So that's all from me. I will pass to Safiuddin to give a tips what we need to do after soldering. So thank you.
Okay, thank you Muhammad Zafran for explaining during soldering. Now, I am going to talk about after soldering. It is important to keep your workplace clean to avoid any injuries to the next person who want to use it. First is clean all work surface after soldering. After we finish solder, put the soldering iron to a safer place. When we are cleaning, collect all the lead waste and put it in one place. The next is place lead waste in a sealable container. The third is keep waste in a closed container. Whether it chemicals, medicals, or radioactive, is generated in many laboratories and requires regulated disposal to ensure safety of public health and the environment. If the waste is not that dangerous, just put it in the rubbish bin. Next, always wash hands after soldering. It is very important to wash your hands after soldering. It is because you don't want to ingest leaks from handling food or others contact with mucous membranes. Next is inspect soldering equipment for damage. It is important to check soldering equipment before using it again for safety reasons. Last is you must remember to turn off or unplug the soldering iron before cleaning the workplace. It's easier to clean the workplace if the soldering iron is cold, and it easier to carry the soldering iron to a better place. That's all from me. Now I'm giving the presentation to Anis Najwa. Thank you very much.
Accident can happen anytime and anywhere, so we must be prepared for it. Sometimes it might happen because of our careless. So, what you need to do when accident occur? First of all, put the solder away from you to avoid any worse situation. So, the next step is immediately cool the affected area under gently running cold water. Keep the burn in the cold water for at least 5 minutes, but 15 minutes recommended. You do not wish to freeze the tissue, so running water is much better than ice. So, let's move to the next slides for more ways on how to deal with burns and injuries. The first one, in case you end up scalding on your hand or any other body part, hold it directly under running water. Next one is avoid applying creams or ointments or any sort. Keep the scalded area dry and apply antiseptic tip. The next one, have a first aid box at your disposal and use it if required. Other than that, let's move to the next slides for more ways on how to deal with burns and injuries. Number 4, if the burns or injuries is severe, don't hesitate to seek your immediate medical attention. Number 5, it is very important to place ice or cold water on accidental solder burns immediately so that it will reduce a little bit of your pain. Last but not least, for serious injuries, seek your medical assistance as soon as possible. There are also many ways on how to deal with burns and injuries. We need to be careful while doing the soldering. You might need someone to observe your soldering technique so that you will avoid the burns and injuries. That's all for me. Let's move to the next part, the cleaning procedure.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So today I'm going to talk about cleaning procedure. The first thing that we need to do in cleaning procedure is clean sponge by keeping the cleaning sponge wet. After that, we also must always wash our hand thoroughly when finished soldering, especially if you are grabbing a meal afterward. Lingering solder on your finger typically does not add value to the tastiness of a meal. Furthermore, keep the workstation clean and free of clutter. Therefore, cord from the soldering iron will not easily become entangled with other objects on your workstation. The soldering iron can quickly fall. As we mentioned, never grab a falling soldering iron, and even worse, result will be finding the soldering iron in your lap. And the last one is avoid dirt or particle when soldering. The most important thing that we must do in cleaning procedure is always wash our hand. As we all know, solder has lead, which is very poisonous metal. There are some bad effects of lead that we can see here, which is the first one is causes weakening of bones in young children. The second one is affect the brain and may lead to the metal loss. The third one is premature abortion in a pregnant woman, and the last one may cause sterility. With this effect, it is important that you wash your hand after working. That's all from us. Thank you.